Hey, what is going on, all my fellow godlies and Warframe enthusiasts around the world? I am Vance from the ever-popular web series of Warframe God Builds, and just when I thought I couldn't be any more infuriated or frustrated with digital extremes, it happened. The debacle shitstorm that it is blew the roof off the fucking mansion, and I am irate. Now, before I get into this topic, we gotta get some backstory on this subject matter. Sissyframe number 3. Alright, well, Sissyframe number 1 and 2, we're dealing with some inconsistencies and hypocrisies within, the fabric of digital extremes, just within the core game and their rules and their partners, all that shit, right? All I wanted to do with that video was make people aware of how pathetic their digital extremes' policies are. And it's bad because they update the game as much as they do, but they never once touch their policies. Thus, we have instances in which they abuse the community. Regardless of how you see this issue, RevXDev tried to state his case, tried to show all the inconsistencies, no different than what I've tried to do, and yet I still got people attacking me, having the audacity to say that I just want shit handed to me. If I wanted shit handed to me, I think I would have quit the game like 3 years ago, because I've got like 3,000 hours on record. So, I mean, it's obvious that I don't want shit handed to me. The only real reason why I upload videos that are like this, where I'm just completely ranting, is because I'm the voice for the voiceless. I speak up for the community. I play with the community. I'm passionate about the community, enjoying Warframe as much as I do. My entire YouTube page was created to help my community. I do God builds to give them something to build towards. I do God builds just to, help them become something in Warframe. So today's video isn't about anything that happened to me. Instead, it's about something that happened to a guy by the name of FrostInator. See, back in November, there was a bunch of incredibly ignorant, obnoxious, and obscene shit posted on AGGP's page. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Digital Extremes is only turning a blind eye to that incredibly foul behavior of AGGP's because he has the subscribers that he does, and he's a part of the LGBT movement, so they don't want to start a war. They're too pussy to deal with that, but they're not pussy enough to fucking remove players who don't have that big of a following and who aren't a part of that little fucking group that cries when they don't get their way. And as a member of the society, just outside of Warframe, the overall society of people who are, protesting because their candidate didn't win, I'm mad at those people. Why? Because I remember 9/11 happening when I was in fucking 6th grade. I watched it live. Did I ever once get offered therapy or time off school or a stress reliever, dog? No, I had to nut the fuck up and attend school the next day and the next day and the next day. That's how I grew up. And that's exactly what I did, is grow up. We as adults should be adults, right? And stop acting like a bunch of little fucking brats who don't get their way. Thus, you have a GGP who is obviously not an adult, talking about and labeling all Trump supporters as misogynists, homophobes, and racists. And furthermore, he goes on to say that they're not entitled to their opinions, that they should be shot without the person who shot them being arrested for it. He wants to run this country like it's a fucking dictatorship. Does he not realize that if you were to take away free speech, then he himself would not have the ability to say what he has said on Twitter? Thus, you have FrostInator, who has come in November disagreeing with the GGP and plainly stating that he didn't agree with what a GGP was saying, and that he is not for Trump and he is also not for Hillary. Now, I commend that, because this guy is a hell of a lot nicer than what I would be. I would be mad at a GGP, and I would express that to him, just like I'm expressing right now. And furthermore, I would be really mad when I found out that I was kicked from the Guides of the Lotus, which is what happened to FrostInator, because some little fucking fruitcake Snowflake had to report FrostInator for him disagreeing with the GGP, thus Digital Extremes, with utterly no research put into the matter at all, blindly kicked him from the Guides of the Lotus. Didn't even provide him the opportunity to defend himself or to state his case. Thus, he made a YouTube video where he was again very nice and very pleasant. Much nicer than what I would have been. I mean, I would have had a fucking breakdown. Me, having suffered from depression, irritability, and not being medicated for it, man, I would have fucking rose hell on YouTube. I would have became the next RevX dev, and all my videos would have been bashing Digital Extremes for the entirety of my lifespan on YouTube. That's what would have happened until they rectified the situation, which they intended to do. By all means, once they realized that they had fucked up and they were in the wrong, they offered him back into the Guides of the Lotus, until they seen his video that was explaining himself. Until they seen the video where, oh no, you know, this guy is showing and exploiting our wrong behavior. Now we're not going to allow him back into the Guides of the Lotus. So fuck you, D.E. Danielle, because how dare you kick this guy for his opinion on social media, which has nothing to do with Warframe. And then, you know, you realize that you made a mistake, you offer him back in, but you think, nah, we're not going to allow him back in because he uploaded a video on YouTube that showed us as a bunch of fucking assholes. He showed our mistake. Yeah, that way of thinking is poisonous, toxic, corrupt, and cancerous. And that is the behavior of Digital Extremes. They cherry pick who they want to listen to, and they prioritize the Cool Kids Club, because obviously a GGP is in the Cool Kids Club, and therefore any obnoxious and incredibly fucking rude and wrong behavior that he does is acceptable. This motherfucker is allowed to talk about cocks, dicks, swinging ball sacks, and dildos at a live event where he blatantly disrespects your fucking audience.
Then when you least expect it, just dicks, 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 dicks.
But yet, you claim that FrostInator is getting kicked from the Guides of the Lotus because he's supposed to be a role model. He represents you, Digital Extremes, and he should be on his best behavior at all time. Why do those rules not fucking apply to a GGP? Tell me that! Because there's two different situations in which this entire scenario can be rectified. Either you change your bullshit policies and let everybody say whatever the fuck they want to say as long as it's not on Warframe. That would mean that FrostInator cannot be punished for what he said to a GGP, and also a GGP cannot be punished for what he has said on Twitter. That would be the best possible outcome. That would be the outcome that I agree with, because it's promoting free speech. It has nothing to do with Warframe. Why would you concern your shit with who somebody is outside of Warframe? Alright? That would be the best way of going about things. But I understand that there's a lot of people who had commented on my Sissyframe videos stating that they believe that Digital Extremes has a good policy, and that, you know, if you're a partner, if you're this, if you're that you do represent them outside of Warframe and you should be a role model. Okay, fine, that's fair. That's a fair statement, right? So the alternative to rectify this situation is to make it so a GGP is kicked. That's the alternative. If you believe their policy is right and that, you know, a Warframe partner should represent Digital Extremes, then it's time for a GGP to be removed from the partnership. That's what needs to be done right now. That's the way I see it. I mean, because Digital Extremes needs to recognize that they're in the wrong. They're way in the wrong. Because they're condoning this type of behavior on Twitter. If I were to go on Twitter and I were to say the type of shit a GGP said, I'd probably be punished in Warframe. Why? Because, well, I'm not gay. So I'm not important. I'm just like another fucking number. I'm the standard average white American male. And you know, I have white privilege going for me. Give me a fucking break. This is not just a Warframe issue. It's an overall issue with society. Society is pandering to these crybaby fucking bitch boy snowflakes who can't handle other people's opinions. Now, you could go out on a limb and say that I can't either, but you would be wrong in saying that, because on numerous occasions in the comment sections, the only time I'm ever getting really aggressive with people is not because they have a different opinion from mine. It's because their opinion is just flat out wrong. And wrong opinions do exist. You need to acknowledge that. They do exist. When you make an opinion, you need to do so with logic behind it. You need to have some type of evidence that you can provide in disclosing why you formed the opinion that you did. Now, an opinion, there's different types of varying opinions, I think, because, you know, it's different, because one guy could want one team to win the Super Bowl and the other guy could want the opposite team to win. And that in the realm of those preferences, there's no such thing as a wrong opinion. When you have a preference, there's no such thing as a wrong opinion. But when you're talking about labeling all of Trump supporters racists and homophobes, you, sir, have a wrong opinion. Flat out. That's a wrong fucking opinion. And it is super unprofessional for not only a GGP to state on Twitter how he feels on that subject matter, but also for DE Steve to blatantly bash RevXDev without actually mentioning RevXDev. Oh, we don't support racists and misogynists and all this shit. Well, you didn't have to say that. You didn't have to state that on your Twitter, because you knew exactly what you were doing. You knew that you were getting involved in a situation where you yourself were doing what you punish community members for doing. There's the hypocrisy there. I hope you guys at this point now, I hope you at least by now realize the hypocrisy that surrounds Digital Extremes. They actively participate and disobey their own fucking rules. Why? Because they're online dictators, and it needs to come to a halt. They need to realize what they're doing, how they're fucking up, and how they could better improve themselves. Because that's what it's like to be an adult. We take responsibility for the actions that we have done. When we made mistakes, we own it, and we make sure that we don't make that mistake again. Now, am I stating all of this from a place of hatred? No, I'm not. I'm stating this from a place of passion, love, and support. I have supported this game for 4 years or so. It may be coming up on 4 years, maybe not 4 years exactly. But I have been with this game through and through. Through the bad times, through the good times. I met these guys in person. I felt so, like, my heart was warmed by meeting them. If I could trade that event for meeting somebody else who is famous in society, I just wouldn't do it. Because, like, nobody who starred in a movie or is in wrestling or is a professional sports player is, like, on the level of Digital Extremes, in my opinion. Or at least that's the opinion that I had before all this drama happened. Before I realized that everybody was a whole lot worse than what I thought they were to begin with. But that's alright, because you can admit that you've done something wrong, and you can take steps to better yourself as an individual. Not just like as a whole company, as Digital Extremes, but as individuals. I'm sure all of them have made mistakes that they can be forgiven for. Can a GGP be forgiven? Can Mogamu be forgiven? Yes, they can all be forgiven. And we can move beyond this. But, you know, fuck me for having hope, right? Fuck me for thinking that it's all going to be okay in the end. That, you know, it's wrong to think that in today's society, in the year 2017, that we can simply admit our mistakes and move forward. Now, what I want to actually be done is I want them to change their policies. I want people to have the right to free speech outside of Warframe. I don't give a fuck if you're a partner or not. It shouldn't matter what those people are saying outside of Warframe. If they want to be obnoxious douchebag cunts, let them be. Fuck fuck it, you shouldn't get involved. But if you're not going to change your policy and you're going to continue to state that people who are partnered with your program need to be role models, then a GGP needs removed now. And I would go so far as to say Mogamu does too, because in my first Sissyframe video I showcased the video in which he was going to make somebody disappear because he has the subscribers to do it. That's not very role model behavior. That's very and highly punishable behavior, which should definitely be punished. So, if you agree with this video, it always helps if you thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff I always encourage you to do. And until next time, this has been Vance signing off. Peace.